quick note before the video begins. The footage at the start of this Turtwig run is going to be different from the rest of it because I lost everything that came before and including Commander Mars. So everything afterwards is going to be from the original Turtwig run, just the Mars, the Rival and Rourke beforehand. That's all going to be from a future run. Hey folks, and welcome to what could be a very long series, completing Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl with almost every Pokemon in a solo run. No doubt you've seen other challenges, but it's always good to throw down some ground rules. No items in battle, no use of double team or flash in battle, no glitches, no exploits, and no illegal Pokemon in any way. If anything else crops up, we'll sort it out as we go. But for now, let's begin with the start of the Sinnoh Pokedex, Pokemon number 387, Turtwig. Diamond and Pearl are strange starts of games for Pokemon, as you don't have a battle with your rival's level 5 starter. By the time we get to the first major battle, that being the first rival, we've already encountered what could be a recurring issue: flying Pokemon. Luckily, the rival has no flying moves on his Starly or fire moves on his Chimchar, so a couple of withdraws to build up defense, and Taka will win the battle. Fun fact, Turtwig is the only starter to start with a stat raising move, something far better in a solo run than moves that lower an opponent's stats. As you can imagine, the first gym leader, Rourke, is no problem with grass moves. Onix outspeeds us, but so far speed has not been our Turtwig's issue. Our Turtwig has a positive speed nature, but at the cost of attack, and Turtwig is a stronger physical attacker. The first challenging trainer for most runs is Commander Mars in the Valley Windworks. Her prodigy is the bane of many a Nuzlocke, being a fully evolved Pokemon before your starter has even evolved. Thankfully, there are enough trainers around to get Turtwig to level 17. We won't be evolving at all, and we don't need to evolve. We just need one new move: Curse. No, not what I do when a Budew poisons Turtwig. This move raises our defense and attack at the cost of speed. Unfortunately, Mars opens with a Zubat. That isn't the worst thing to start raising our stats on, but it does U-turn almost the moment it gets the Supersonic off. This swaps in the mighty Purugly. With 2 curses already set up, we can set up 2 more to bring us to +4 stages in attack and defense, and it no longer does much damage and falls easily. I lost first time to Zubat critting a U-turn when it came back in. Crits ignore the stat buffs, but if it doesn't crit with this U-turn, it's an easy fight for the first real challenge I expected. Next up is the grass leader, Gardenia. I was worried about this one too. With our stab, that is same type attack bonus, grass moves being completely useless, and her Roserade being another fully evolved Pokemon, this one having a strong special attack stat. This will serve as a good idea of the strategy Turtwig will have to try to defeat tough trainers. Find someone to set up stat buffs on, then try to fake the dangerous Pokemon quickly. By now we have Bite, which will be our attack of choice here. Setting up Curse on the Cherubi did not work. Dazzling Gleam is a special attack and it hits too hard. We don't have enough health to deal with the rest. Instead, we bite twice, and we set up Curse on her Turtwig. This Turtwig knows Reflect, and it's this ability we need to play around. Turtwig will either Reflect turn 1 or turn 2 once we began using Curse. Once Reflect wears off, he will use it again. We want to keep using Curse even once we've maxed out our stats at 6 stages each, until only 2 turns remain on Reflect. It takes 2 bites to defeat Turtwig, and we cannot have Reflect up for Roserade. If Roserade is not one-shot, she will take out Turtwig. With 6 stages of defense, Roserade has no choice but to go for Grass Knot as her only special attack. Her super effective poison attack is physical, and the AI knows it cannot hit Turtwig hard enough with the physical stat. It has to go with the not very effective but special attack, Grass Knot. It hits hard despite being resisted and not being that heavy, but without Reflect up, a single bite will take her out. The first roadblock of the run was to come, however. Commander Jupiter. She prevents us progressing further, and her pair of Pokemon is far more threatening to Turtwig than Mars's were. Firstly, her Zubat knows Poison Fang, a super effective move with a 50% chance to badly poison us. I managed to use Curse 4 times without getting poisoned or confused, but it wasn't enough, because next comes in Stuntank. Stuntank resists Razor Leaf and Bite. The best move we could potentially learn is Cut. It is a special attacker, so our defense from Curse does nothing. And one of those special attacks is Flamethrower. And then, even if we were to take it out, its Aftermath ability would take out Turtwig if we defeat it with Cut or Bite. Turtwig is designed to take physical hits, build up its stats, and then hit back hard. But we lack any way to restore our health, so we have no choice but to grind. For now, it seems the best way to get past special attackers until we get access to new moves. That new move at level 29 is Leech Seed, and one of the additions for Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl is tailor-made to level up Turtwig, the Grand Underground, especially Wild Gastrodon. These Pokemon are 4 times weak to grass, and being at a higher level give bonus experience. Normally, reduced experience for defeating weaker Pokemon is a downside, but for once, this system helps. After just 5 Gastrodon, we are level 29, armed with Leech Seed and ready to try Jupiter again. But she is still tough. I tried the setup approach and the raw power approach. The issue with raw power is that even with 9 levels and no curse, Stuntank is still quicker and in just 3 attacks has us down. Without curse, we have no hope of 2-shotting it, not least because it has a Citrus Berry. So I settled on setting up on the Zubat. The hope was to dodge confusion and avoid getting poisoned. We have a berry to cure 1 poison. This attempt I felt was middling luck. Maybe unlucky that we hit ourselves in confusion twice and it took so long to fade. The early confusion also meant curses were slow to set up, but there was luck in a few failed Poison Fangs. Maybe on the unlucky side. Leech Seed Sustain on the Zubat let us stack up curses far easier than previously, however. The big gun was next though. We entered Stuntank with only 1 available attack. I went for Razor Leaf as Aftermath would feint us, but Razor Leaf's 1 in 8 critical hit chance came through and we finally won. Was it lucky? Technically 1 in 8 is, but more attempts and we could have left Zubat with more than 4 curses. If we had Stuntank go in with the full 6, we shouldn't have needed to crit. There will be plenty of dangerous special attackers to come. For now, we have a break from the tough trainers and head to the next major battle, the second rival. There are a fair number of trainers between here and the rival. This is actually my first time playing Generation 4, but I have watched other players. Even so, I was caught off guard by where he attacks and still had the amulet coin equipped, but I was still confident in the strategy. The rival now has 4 Pokemon, having filled out his Fire Water Grass core with Weasel and Roselia. These are the only two Pokemon with special moves, and Turtwig resists both, so the plan was to set up 6 curses on Starly, tank its hits with Curse and Leech Seed, take a fire hit from the Monferno, and then one-shot everything. Starly, however, had other plans, as it instantly opens with Endeavour. This move lowers the target's health until it is the same as the user, and with so many levels on Starly, this brings Turtwig down to half health instantly. I used Leech Seed to sustain myself from the expected plucks as I had set up curses, but then I realised the problem. Eventually, Endeavour would keep bringing me down as Leech Seed damages Starly, and I needed the health to not die to Monferno. After 2 curses, I knock out the Starly and decide to try to finish setting up on the Monferno. In retrospect, this could have been unnecessary, but I was worried about Flame Wheel, so I used Leech Seed and began to use more curses. Monferno, however, most of the time just used Leer. I assume the AI thought that because I had so much defense, lowering it would do more damage in the long run, except even as Leer counteracted Curse's defense, the attack buff from Curse was going ahead. Eventually, a Flame Wheel did get used and hit fairly hard, but the damage buff from Curse and the Leech Seed damage finished off Monferno. As expected, the last 2 Pokemon fell in a single hit. The next major battle, I believe, could be a choice between Maylene or Crasher Wake. They have both Pokemon at the same levels, though the game encourages you to do Maylene first. While speed is a factor, ultimately it felt like Maylene would be easier than the Water Gym leader. Strange, I know. Turtwig's issues have proven not to be its type per se, but special attacks, and finding something to set curses on. Crash Awake opens with a Gyarados. There are lots of special and ice type moves. Meanwhile, Maylene's starter is a Meditite, and across her team she has no special moves. We begin with our typical setup combo of Leech Seed into 6 curses. Meanwhile, Meditite has her own version of Curse, Bulk Up, except for when she uses Light Screen and Drain Punch, which hits fairly hard. Bulk Up means that Meditite will stay relatively consistent with Turtwig's stat increases. Once we are at 6 curses, however, we one-shot the Meditite and one-shot both Machoke and Lucario, our maxed out defense making us shrug off her attacks easily. That was not so easy, however, for the next battle against the 2 Team Galactic grunts with Lucas. Lucas uses a Clefairy here, which was a real hero as it knows Life Dew, which heals us both. Turtwig takes quite a beating here as the opponents are Dustox and Beautifly, followed by Skunky and Krogunk, all of who know special moves super effective against Turtwig. I didn't lose, but if the first Venom shot from Dustox had targeted Turtwig, I could have. It's a fairly long trek to Crash Awake next, and he's already seems like a difficult foe. A Gyarados starts with Intimidate, and then will proceed to knock Turtwig out in 4 Ice Fangs, each of which has a 10% chance to freeze and then a separate 10% chance to flinch. We are level 40 and Gyarados is quicker, however I know from previous Gyarados that we are not too many levels off outspeeding. Even if we had the capability to set up, next is Quagsire, who knows Haze. By default we will be faster than Quagsire, but after more than 1 curse, Quagsire becomes quicker and will remove the curse effects. Lastly is Floatzel, someone we won't ever outspeed, armed with Ice Fang 2. The approach I went for was to try and take down Gyarados with some speed. Leech Seed can buy an extra turn against Ice Fangs. A crit Razor Leaf, remember that is a 1 in 8 chance, brings it down to red. Crash Awake heals up, but this has the benefit of giving Turtwig more health from Leech Seed and the Shell Bell held item. Gyarados goes down after more crunches and Razor Leafs. Since we didn't use Curse, we outspeed Quagsire and one-shot with Razor Leaf. That means we have to live an Ice Fang from Floatzel, get no freeze or flinch, and then hope that Razor Leaf one-shots the Floatzel, which it does. This fight could have been more consistent with more levels, just to outspeed the Gyarados and remove any chance of flinching. An alternative strategy would be replacing Leech Seed with Synthesis to heal once against the Quagsire. Relearning old moves is available to us now, but I thought this was fine. A couple of levels would have made it more consistent, however. Very quickly we face the rival again, and he's effectively the same as before, except this time we did lose. Starly likes to spam Double Team, but the main issue is still Endeavour. We want the Leech Seed for sustain against the Starly to set up curses on to handle the Monferno, but if Starly gets too low, it will Endeavour us down and Monferno will easily pick us off. After trying for the full stack of Curse, I went with just 2. Starly didn't Endeavour us at all, and despite the double teams, we still hit. Double Team isn't bad at a couple of uses, it still has a 50% hit chance at 2 uses. The bigger luck here was not taking an Endeavour. The advantage of getting Starly out quicker is we have more health, and that means the Monferno will see Leer as a more viable option. He doesn't actually have this in the next battle. We then miss with Razor Leaf, making up for the fact that Starly never used Endeavour. Razor Leaf does take down the Monferno in 2 hits, and we have enough health to survive the resisted attacks from Weasel and Roselia, both of who we one-shot. Was there some luck there? Perhaps, but I'm not too bothered because we aren't actually far away from facing the rival again. You fight him 5 times, and versions 2, 3 and 4 are all very similar, particularly for Turtwig, as the Starly, next time it will be a Staravia, has Endeavour and Double Team and Pluck in all of those versions. Next time he will also have a Heracross, so I can see our next battle being the culmination of these 2, before the rival changes strategies and we acquire Turtwig's favourite item. Next up, however, after a trek to Celestic Town, is Fantina. Here is our first attempt, and I will say first, it is really something special. We have to ditch Curse so we can use Substitute, because Drifblim has Will-O-Wisp and Strength Sap, both things that Substitute can block. It also has Aftermath. One fly will break the Substitute. We are slower than Drifblim. Theoretically, we should always lose this battle because it should just reduce our attack. Except a lucky Friendship dodge saves our Substitute. And then another Friendship dodge blocks a fatal Sludge Bomb from Gengar. This run was too lucky for me. I reset and tried again. If Drifblim went for Will-O-Wisp, something it really should always do, we'd never win. Let's clear up all the friendship mechanic stuff. I am fine with getting lucky with it. Within reason, however. If a strategy relies on a friendship dodge to happen twice in a row, and the AI to play poorly, that isn't the strategy we want. It would be a temporary victory until the next special attackers. I kept trying and it wasn't working. I kept leveling up until we hit level 52 and could finally outspeed the Drifblim. Luckily, the underground has great spots for grass Pokemon to level up fairly quickly. Yep, it's the same Gastrodon. Now that we're faster, we have this run. This is a strategy that I was happy with average consistency. Drifblim will almost always try either Strength Sap or burn us with Will-O-Wisp if the substitute is not up, so we always need to make sure we keep a substitute up. Next is Leech Seed. Combined with the Big Root held item, this will heal us back Substitute's health in 2 turns, the same as it takes for Fly to break it. Now we need to set up a victory against Drifblim that ends with our Substitute intact and our health at full. We have to defeat it with Leech Seed or Razor Leaf. I found that single crit from many of the Razor Leafs will do it. That is a 1 in 8 now thanks to friendship, and will result in its fainting during its fly, leaving the substitute up. Next is Gengar. Gengar can't be one-shot thanks to its berry. Ideally we want no Curse Body to disable Crunch, but it happens here. Better to be disabled early, however. Gengar will always try to break the sub with Sludge Bomb. As long as we are on full health, however, Sludge Bomb will not one-shot us, hence we need to avoid Aftermath. Gengar goes for Confuse Ray because it cannot see that Sludge Bomb will knock us out guaranteed, and we actually have a 75% chance of not hitting ourselves, and we take it out with Razor Leaf. Against Mismagius, the plan is to stall until Crunch is back up. I made a mistake and should have Leech Seeded first, but Substitute also buys us time. Crunch comes back up and the victory is ours. It's not far until the next major battle, the 4th rival and the last of the Endeavour Starly, or now Staravia strategy. Having lost Curse, I choose to try Sword Stance and try and brute force the incoming damage. Staravia has 3 main options it will use, and it does one of each: Endeavour, Double Team, and Pluck. It actually gets Lucky Quick Claw on the only turn that Quick Claw actually mattered, turn 4, and it does another Double Team, but Double Team is still at only a 1 in 3 mischance, so Staravia goes down. Next up is the new Heracross, taken out in one shot and providing important healing with Shell Bell. The last major hurdle is Monferno. Do I survive a Flame Wheel? And Turtwig dodges it. I actually paused here to check damage calculators. Would Turtwig have survived? Max damage from a full IV Monferno was 41%, so Turtwig would have survived. As always, the last 2 Pokemon are easy wins. Maybe I should have tried the Sword Stance approach much earlier. And we do try that on the next gym leader, Byron. Byron has everything you want from a major battle, namely a Pokemon to set up on. As always, we go for Leech Seed combined with the Big Root held item, and then 3 Sword Stances to maximise our attack. Bronzor is kind of an easy Pokemon to set up on, and we're going to be seeing more of this one soon, but this one just uses Trick Room and Sandstorm. It does confuse us eventually, however, and that is the issue. There is a 25% chance per attack that we will hit ourselves, and that would be very bad with our attack boosts, but hopefully not fatal. Substitute would help, but we would need to delete an attacking move, and if possible I want to hold on to my Heart Scales to relearn moves later. We never hit ourselves and Bronzor goes down. Steelix was always going to survive an attack anyway with Sturdy, but we have good defences and easily handle Steelix with a special attack from Bastiodon coming in as the last threat, but it's not really a threat. Now it's time to zip across the world and face the 3rd commander, Saturn. Saturn is quite different from the other commanders, starting out with a Kadabra we surprisingly outspeed in one shot. Most Kadabras we've met before have actually outsped us, so yes, it was a surprise, but welcome. Next we have another Bronzor to set up on. This one has a few more attacks, and we do hit ourselves a few times. You can see with the Sword Stance up, it does hit us quite hard. In the end I lose track of my stacks of Sword Stance and knocked out the Bronzor early. Last up is Toxicroak, who we don't have a neutral move for, but we still hit it hard with our Sword Stances up. Thankfully Toxicroak doesn't actually have a poison move except Toxic, so we can tank its hits well and knock it out. Next up is another flight across the map as we face an old friend with new tricks, Commander Mars. For Turtwig especially, Mars is a gatekeeper with lots of goodies to claim after this battle. She has learnt a bit from Jupiter, however. That lesson being a Golbat with Poison Fang. If you recall from earlier, Poison Fang has a 50% chance to apply Toxic. The brute force attempt didn't work, so I swapped Sword Stance for Substitute again. This was to prevent the poison, and with our defense it's so good one Poison Fang will not break the sub. Combined with Leech Seed and the Big Root, we whittle down Golbat with the same aim as against Fantina. End the fight with the Substitute up. Progly is out next. It does not resist us, hence no need to set up with Sword Stance, but I learned from the past that she will U-turn quite often, so instead we crunch the Bronzor that comes in. It will survive, which is great, as we can set up another substitute and heal with Leech Seed. Progly comes in again, hitting hard with U-turn, but the substitute does its job and Mars goes down. With Mars defeated, we can finally head to the north of Sinnoh. In the north, we can head to the Grand Underground and grab two amazing items. The Lucky Egg, for extra experience during most battles and any level grinds, and Leftovers, effectively a combination of our two most used items, Big Root and the Shell Bell. The first major battle we have it for is Candice, the Ice-type gym leader. With so many physical attacks, I did not expect too many problems, but the move pool clearly was. It was here I was faced with a choice. The main strategy is to retain the moves that I have in Razor Leaf, Crunch, Leech Seed, and, well, Sword Stance. The issue is, if we set up two Sword Stances, we get taken out by the Snover and the Medicham, who will outspeed us. If we set up just one, we can enter a Bomber Snow with more health, but we don't one-shot it, and Blizzard will take us out. The second option is a mass move change. We can't Leech Seed the Snover as it's a grass type, so we would need to get Synthesis. Curse to replace the Sword Stance to set up, and then finally a substitute to supply with the Blizzard. That leaves one move slot left to attack, and we need Crunch. That is 2 Hot Scales and the loss of 2 good moves that we may well need soon. I've already tried to level up a bit when I thought I could outspeed the Medicham, but she is still quick. She has a jolly nature that is increasing speed at the cost of special attack. So the question is, what do I care more about? Overall speed of the run, or how low can I defeat a major battle at? I settled for leveling up. We are close on either speed or defences. At 2 Sword Stances, Medicham only just knocked us out with the assistance of Hail, so either of these will help smooth the fight out. Leveling up is much quicker than finding Heart Scales currently, and we are probably going to need levels for Spear Pillar. The most important statistics are the final ending level and the playtimes. As rough as Candice is, the Elite Four have worse. So we try after leveling up another 2 times and Snover goes for Mist. This is the first time it's done this, and this should seal the victory. It does go for Avalanche while we set up our second Sword Stance. Crunch takes it out, and Medicham comes in. Do we outspeed? Nope, and Ice Punch still looks like it hits really hard. Crunch takes it out, however, and it's on to Sneasel. Sneasel can only knock us out with Avalanche, and that forces it to go second, so we take it out in 1 hit, and finally a Bomber Snow. No chance of the 10% friendship dodge against Blizzard, so Crunch needs to one-shot, and it does. I don't know what made Snover go for the Mist, but either that or a 10% dodge against Snover or Medicham also would have guaranteed the victory. After learning that our rival also struggles against Jupiter, we head to face 2 trainers who should be quite easy, starting with Baby Cyrus. Murkrow comes out and could taunt us to prevent more than 1 Sword Stance, but it doesn't, and it just hits with 2 Nightshades while we build up. Obviously, Murkrow goes down with our 2 Sword Stances, and Golbat is one-shot by Crunch. Against Sneasel, I go for Crunch because of accuracy, and it actually survives. But instead of attacking us, it uses Hone Claws twice, clearly jealous of Turtwig and everything it used to set up. Actually, better not joke about Cyrus yet, because next up It's the only commander we've never lost to, Saturn. Just like last time, we one-shot Kadabra, outspeeding it. We set up Sword Stances against Bronzor. This took a bit longer than it needed to. No need for Leech Seed or as many Sword Stances. Crunch takes it out. Toxicroak only knows Toxic as a poison move, but well, it doesn't really matter because it's the one-shot. But those two battles were just breathers. Spear Pillar is where it's at, and all three battles up there are quite interesting. Now, if you were eagle-eyed earlier, you may have noticed that I had two Pokemon in my party. The second one was actually an egg, the Happiny egg from Hearthome City to be precise. At Spear Pillar there is a mandatory double battle and you cannot progress without a second Pokemon. If you've watched other solo runs, most YouTubers will just elect to use a Magikarp. However, this is Generation 8. We don't need HM Pokemon, and catching a Pokemon gives us experience, so no matter how small, that is using an item in battle. Instead, I hatched the level 1 Happiny. It may not know Splash, but I taught it Rest so it has a move it can freely waste. At level 1, any attack will knock it out, as they don't know any ghost moves. A Protect from Dustox lets me set up a Sword Stance, and sweep through the rest of them. Next up is one of the roughest parts of the game. In solo runs going forward, this has the potential to be very dangerous. We have a double battle against the two admins who have caused us the most problems, Mars and Jupiter, alongside our rival. Luckily for us, both of them start off with Bronzor, allowing us to set up 3 Sword Stance while taking little damage thanks to leftovers. The worst thing here is Confuse Ray, especially with all the boosts. The Bronzors do go down, and it's time for their aces, Stuntank and Perugly. As always, Perugly is going to outspeed and U-turn away. I should have gone for it here and taken the Golbat out, instead of worrying about the Stuntank. Well, really I should not have defeated both Bronzors, and the rival does make that hard sometimes. My mistake was letting the Golbat haze away our Sword Stance buff. Luckily the rival is attacked instead, and we can turn the tide of the battle. Later tries would be easier because, spoilers, Osiris has improved quite a bit. Shame our rival abandons us. He's found a Dust Stone, got a Gyarados out of his boxes, and finally made friends with his Crobat. 3 flying types and an ice type. This is going to be rough. Not least because his Honchkrow is really set up well with an 100% crit chance on its special flying attack. This means Curse is no good. We need to hit hard and we need to hit fast. This is where I made a mistake, however. In fact, quite a few. Air Cutter will take us out in 2 hits. That gives us 1 chance for Sword Stance. The first mistake was not teaching Strength. Had I thought about it earlier, I would have found that we are losing most of our uses for Crunch. Its main job were Ghosts, Steel, and Psychic. The Ghosts have passed, most Steels have, and the Psychics have poor defense anyway. Strength would have one-shot the Honchkrow with a Sword Stance. This may not have led to a win at 68, however, as Crobat acts before us and Cross Poison will take us out. And if it didn't, then Gyarados would. Gyarados would not be a one-shot with 1 Sword Stance, and Weavile acts before us too with Aerial Ace. But it should have been worth a try. Friendship could have allowed us to avoid the Air Cutter, Cross Poison or an Ice Fang, so there was a fair chance. Alas, the trip up to Spear Pillar and having to fight the double battle and watch a cinematic just drags into my limited time, so I leveled up again. And maybe this is a second mistake, being too cautious with rare candies as well as the heart scales. This is my first solo challenge and my first time ever playing through Sinnoh, so mistakes were made and much time was wasted. I plan on running Turtwig through again off camera, having learned how to level up quicker, less exploring the game and picking up useless items, to make the final ranking a bit fairer when we compare it to all those that follow. But back to here, for Cyrus, no rare candies, instead we reach level 74, climb all the way back up and try again, this time with strength. We take out the commanders and face Cyrus. Now, Haunchcrow goes for Defog. I assume this may be because an air cutter is no longer a 2-hit knockout. Either way, this lets us set up a second sword stance. Haunchcrow goes down to strength, and after dealing with some damage, out comes Crobat. One cross poison hits us, but we tank it, luckily no poison, and strength one-shots it. Gyarados lowers our attack, but 3 stages is still enough to have strength take it out in one hit. Just need to survive an aerial ace. We easily do, and strength finishes the sweep. And with that, perhaps higher than we should have been, we have 7 major battles to go. Volkner, the last gym leader, is next, and I'm not expecting problems now. Raichu outspeeds and Volt switches for resisted damage, and we set up our sword stance. Ambipom wastes a turn to fake us out. It outspeeds us and hits us, but Razor Leaf takes it out. Octillery is one shot by Razor Leaf also, we outsped this one. Raichu is back out to Volt Switch again, giving us a free hit on the intimidating Luxray, if we actually hit it. It's 2 Razor Leaf to take it out, and Ice Fang deals hefty damage to us, bringing us quite low. Raichu is here one last time, we resist its attacks, and easily one-shot it. Victory Road is next, no problems here as you can imagine, before we begin with the hardest 6 battles in the game. Our 5th and final rival is up first, and he's certainly upped his game. Like with previous rivals, the difficulty will be the start. Staraptor. Likely you turning it into Infernape. His team is physically strong, so after a quick loss trying to sword stance, it's time to use a heart scale and get back Curse. Intimidate lowers our attack straight away, and we take a pluck, but we start the Curse chain. Staraptor doesn't U-turn for a while, 4 plucks hitting progressively weaker with each Curse. As we use our 6th Curse to top out our defense, out comes Infernape. As long as we avoid a crit, strength will, and does, one-shot. Staraptor is back out to lower our attack again, and I Leech Seed to recover some more health while I set up more curses, just to raise some attack to counter out the Intimidates. This also breaks the Focus Sash that it holds. Focus Sash means that the Staraptor cannot go from 100% health to 0% health in one hit, so we need to hit it with Leech Seed beforehand, or hit it with Leech Seed afterwards. Strength takes it out. Now we have to take a number of hits as we one-shot Floatzel and Snorlax. Now, I was worried here that the rival would bring out Roserade to take a hit before I fell asleep to yawn. But instead it brings out the only thing that could concern us, Heracross, and strength takes it out. Finally, the Roserade. We fall asleep to yawn, but it can't really deal any damage to us, letting us wake up and win. It is good to have Curse back. Now then, let's talk about the Elite Four. We have a Bug Specialist, super effective against us, a Ground Expert, should be easy, another super effective type in Fire, before a special attacking type, capped off of course by Cynthia, who is also generally a special attacker. Believe it or not, the first stumbling block was straight away. Aaron and his early special attacking bugs, Dustox and Beautifly. These two have caused issues across the entire run, but never fatal until here. Dustox likes to waste a turn with Light Screen, but at 79 we are nowhere near able to take it out before Bug Buzz brings us too low. Note that Dustox also has Toxic, but never used it here. We get a lucky dodge against the Beautifly, more on the dodging mechanics later, and the special attackers are down. We haven't set up enough curses to be stronger against Vespiquen, and she brings us to 1 health. Vespiquen finishes us off. So what about Sword Stance instead? This would get the stacks up quicker, and we could get past Dustox with no lost health thanks to cleansing ourselves of poison. Beautifly does outspeed us at this level, but it wastes it on Quiver Dance. 2 Sword Stance isn't enough to one-shot Vespiquen, but we dodge again. Heracross has no bug move actually, and it brings us down to 80%, and finally it's Drapion. We are never outspeeding this thing, but 4 Sword Stance is not enough to one-shot it. 2 full restores, we don't crit, and we are taken out. It's worth noting that Drapion has a high crit chance with Cross Poison and will always go first, meaning some attempts with Sword Stance simply end the moment we reach him. This was the best attempt, but relying on a dodge and a cleanse is not good enough. We need Curse. If we don't have Curse going into the Elite Four, we can never get it back during the run. So what was the strategy? Leveling up and some move changes. It's time to use all those rare candies and get to level 93. We have a new move approach this time. It's been with us for a long time, but Razor Leaf is gone. Instead, we have Substitute. We use it straight away in case of Toxic. Next I'll try Strength to see how much it hits for. Slightly over half. Can we knock out Dustox? It's so close, but it heals. I go for Curse so I can take out Dustox in 2 hits. Bug Buzz actually ignores the Substitute, so we never have to worry about refreshing it, but after just 1 Curse, Dustox outspeeds us, but it goes down. Next is Beautifly. Sounds weird to think that this is the last hard Pokemon. She goes for Quiver Dance, not seeing a kill, and Turtwig knocks her out in 1 shot. Vespiquen is a physical attacker, so we go into Leech Seeds and start setting up curses. A lot of curses. Really, Heracross could have been better to set up on since he has no super effective moves, but Vespiquen also does work. Full on curses and health, we take out Vespiquen. We set up a substitute on Heracross. If Drapion crits us, it will ignore the defense buffs. With only Brick Break, Heracross has no chance of breaking the substitute. Heracross goes down. Drapion breaks our sub, but Turtwig conquers our run at last, felling Drapion. Bertha by comparison, very easy. We swap out Substitute for Bullet Seed. We have 2 of these TMs, and we were saving them in case we ever had to lose Razor Leaf. What this means is that Bertha is easy. Bullet Seed takes out Quagsire in 1 turn, Wish Cash in 1 turn despite its Grass Resist Berry. Pseudo Voodoo is only hit twice, but we avoid the attack, not that it would matter that much. Golem goes down in 1 turn, and Hippowdon is the only threat. It survives Bullet Seed, but we aren't frozen by Ice Fang, and we get the win. Told you Bertha would be easy. Maybe not for the Chimchar line, however. Flint is up next. Fire types. Or at least, fire attacks. Luckily for us, he is a physical attacker, so Substitute is back and it's time to curse again. Rapidash opens with Hypnosis, but Turtwig cleanses itself straight away. Is that lucky? Let's look at Friendship properly. At max Friendship, as Turtwig is, Turtwig has a 10% chance to avoid any attack that can miss, basically deducting from the move's accuracy. That means Hypnosis's accuracy is 50%, down from 60% by default. We were hit, and another aspect comes into play, cleansing the status, 20% chance at the end of the turn. Then we also have the chance of waking up after 2 rounds, around 25%, so what we really had there was an average outcome. Anyway, Leech Seed is up, and we can get enough curses up before we go down. With enough defences, we do manage to survive, and we can set up a substitute for the next Pokemon. Rapidash, slowly, goes down, and Lopunny is out, but Strength takes it out in one hit. Steelix is next, it resists the Strength. Just hold on to that thought, Steelix resisting Strength. Steelix does however go down after a few more hits. Drifblim is out next, and it has no attacks. As long as Substitute is up, it cannot do anything to us. It sets up Minimize and passes it to Infernape with Baton Pass. Infernape breaks our sub, but does go down. Drifblim has one chance to hit us with Will-O-Wisp, but it minimises and the sub is up. And then Strength is my only attacking move. If Leech Seed does not land, we are going to be forced to struggle. We would likely still win, but it does land, and it's a slow victory. Now, we had Crunch, this would have been quicker, and also good for the Elite Four Mender who is next, Lucian. Instead, I replace Strength with the second Bullet Seed and substitute for Light Screen. Lucian leads with Mr. Mime, and we set up our defences. Light Screen for myself, Reflect for him. Then it's Leech Seed, and we start setting up curses. Meanwhile, Mr. Mime hits fairly well with Psychic. Eventually our Light Screen will end, and Mr. Mime's Psychic hits pretty hard without it. That is after only 3 curses. I should have stayed in longer because instead I panicked and take out Mr. Mime, bringing in Medicham. We know from Candice this one hits hard, even with 3 curses. It's a third of our HP. We set up the Leech Seed, the remaining curses, refresh Light Screen, and take it out with hopefully enough health. Little did I realise the battle is already over. It was over the moment the battle started. Remember not being able to hit Drifblim? There we had Leech Seed, but Girafarig comes out, and its Sap Sipper makes it immune to grass moves. I cannot deal any damage, and it's over. We go again, this time with Crunch instead of Strength. You'll also notice I'm 94, no extra rare candy. Aaron is still rough, sometimes he will open with a Bug Buzz and he'll be too challenging, but you have to set up a substitute in case he Toxics. Drapion is not a one-shot with 6 attack buffs, and after Crunch, well, he'll break the sub, Aaron can start healing, allowing more chances for crits, high rolls and defense drops. Our health will recover while he heals, and we can take a cross poison if needed. Nothing new for Bertha. Flint can be a pain with Hypnosis. If it hits before Curse or Leech Seed, it's still bad. Infernape is also not a one-shot with Crunch. And wow, if that crit had not had a substitute to block it, we would have been out. Drifblim, however, much quicker with Crunch. Back to Lucian, this time with Crunch. The early game goes the same as last time. Light Screen up as Mr. Mime sets up its own barriers. Mr. Mime crits with a Psychic, something we won't be able to come back from. No special defense drops, however, those would be fatal. Leech Seed drops Mr. Mime low enough to get healed with a potion, and Crunch takes it out. Next is the Pure Power Medicham, and we have 5 curses up. Despite that, it really chunks our health. We need to hang out against it long enough to finish setting up our curses and refresh the Light Screen. 6 curses and we are still playing at only half health. Crunch takes it out. Alakazam cannot see the one shot on it, so it does nasty plot. Easy one shot. Giraffe hits with Psychic, but it's an easy one shot. And finally, Lucian's easiest Pokemon for us, Bronzong. Physical attacker, no damage, one shot with Crunch. And now we have Cynthia, surely the hardest Pokemon champion in the entire series. Maxed IVs, competitive EVs, and abilities. Us, 1 Turtwig. Cynthia has 5 special attackers, Turtwig's biggest weakness. Garchomp is the only physical attacker, and I'm worried without Curse it will take us out before we can act. So that's Curse and Light Screen. We need an attack, and our best one is Bullet Seed. So what's the plan? Set up on Spiritomb and sweep with Curse and Light Screen. Luckily for us, Spiritomb knows Sucker Punch, which won't hit us until we actually decide to attack with Bullet Seed. We set up a screen, Leech Seed, and start getting stacks of curses. Eventually our defense will be so high it will not bother with Sucker Punch. On top of that, Dark Pulse could flinch, but it never does. We hit the full 6 stacks of curse on fairly good health, but the turn Light Screen drops our low speed does mean we get hit with a full power attack. Just like Lucian, Leech Seed forces Cynthia to heal, giving us more health before we can go on the offense. Ready to attack, we go for the Bullet Seed. We get a special defense drop just before Roserade is the worst Pokemon to face. Sludge Bomb deals so much, even with Light Screen. And Bullet Seed is not enough at 4 times resisted. It's over. Back to the drawing board. First up, levels. We're at 95. I've got more rare candies. We can get a couple more levels to hit 100. The aim isn't to be as low as possible now. We need all the breakpoints we can hit to win. Roserade cannot be outsped. The only way to not be wiped out by Sludge Bomb is Substitute. That means we have to ditch another move. We need a setup move, we need Bullet Seed, and we need Light Screen. That means Leech Seed is out for Substitute. Without Leech Seed, we won't be able to grind out as long, so we'll need Swords Dance instead of Curse. Substitute can protect us from Garchomp. I looked at some calculations. Light Screen should prevent our Substitute being taken out in one hit by most attackers. Without Curse, we should be able to outspeed Spiritomb, Gastrodon, and perhaps Milotic. And importantly, Bullet Seed at max attack will take out every Pokemon in one turn, except for Roserade, who we need to hit 4 times, that's a 30% chance, or 3 times with a crit, or we dodge a Sludge Bomb and that's a 10% chance. Cynthia round 2, let's go. Against Spiritomb, it wastes a turn Sucker Punching thanks to us not raising defense. We outspeed, so no chance of flinching. Light Screen, 3 Swords Dance. We want as many Sucker Punches as we can get, because those won't deal damage to us. We need to set up a Substitute in preparation for Roserade. We're then going to refresh the Light Screen, we Bullet Seed, and then it's Roserade time. Now we only need 4 hits here or to get a dodge, and we get the dodge. Bullet Seed is not enough, however, 3 hits. Cynthia heals, and we get another chance to save our sub. 2 hits means the sub is going down, but so will Roserade. Now Cynthia can send out her middle 4 Pokemon in any order. Garchomp will always be last. Gastrodon is next, and I'm expecting a Sludge Bomb, so I set up Light Screen. That was a mistake, as Gastrodon is actually far more interested in lowering our speed with Rock Tomb. We set up a Substitute, and it's Milotic's turn. Milotic has Ice Beam, and with Rock Tomb, no chance of outspeeding. It breaks the substitute, but Bullet Seed takes it out in one hit. That means Lucario is out next, and I think we need a substitute. Setting up here, however, gives Lucario the chance to use Nasty Plot. The battle is almost over. He will always outspeed and break our substitute. So close. We've done well with the foe setting up on us and getting taken out before they can attack. Now we know that Lucario would do the same. We attack and we take down Lucario. Just need a friendship to put out an unlikely win. Can we dodge? Can we hang on? No. That was a good shot, however. Strategy was solid in the early game. If we can get past Roserade, we know that Cynthia will go for now. It's round 3. Spiritomb, the usual business. While Sucker Punch is what we want to see, the most important thing is that we do not see a Shadow Ball, which can lower our special defense. Dark Pulse has got the same attack as Shadow Ball, so Spiritomb can pick one or the other. We ideally want Dark Pulse because we're faster and therefore we can't be flinched by it. Shadow Ball is fine as long as it doesn't get the special defense drop. We don't know special defense drops here, and that's great. Roserade is out. No dodge, but can we take her out in one turn? Crit on the second Bullet Seed, and 3 hits is enough. We know Gastrodon will Rock Tomb, so Sub comes up to block the slow. Refresh the light screen in case Milotic outspeeds us. And Gastrodon goes down. Milotic is up. I waste turns to try and get the strongest substitute and longest light screen, as I'm trying to work out how to get a substitute that Milotic and Lucario can't break. This is all just a waste. Spoiler alert, I can't. Lucario and Milotic, between them will break any substitute. There is no way to get a substitute into Garchomp. All this finagling of health on Milotic is pretty dangerous. Yes, there's no danger of us losing to Milotic, and there's probably no danger of us losing to Lucario, but the most important thing is having the health total to survive on Garchomp. We know now that we're not going to have a substitute up for Garchomp. We need to have enough health to survive a poison jab. Eventually I realise this and take out the Milotic. Milotic? One of the two. Lucario is up, and since I'm behind a substitute, it will always try and break it instead of setting up Nasty Plot. Aura Sphere, absolutely no chance of missing, but Bullet Seed takes it out. And we have half health. Will Poison Jab from Garchomp take us out? Can we dodge? Can we hang on? Garchomp Swords Dance. It does not see Poison Jab winning, so Bullet Seed gets the win. The little guy did it. So many mistakes against Cynthia, and the entire run in general. This was my first time playing these games and doing a solo challenge. Time-wise, it will be awful. Too much exploring, battling all trainers. After this run, I did another. I won't do a second run off camera for every Pokemon, but I wanted to give Turtwig a more appropriate run. This time it was 18 hours 45 minutes. The second was 13 hours and 54 minutes. I'll add on half an hour onto the time to make up for already knowing what levels we would need to be. It just sort of cuts out the time that you get from trips to Spear Pillar. So 14 hours, 24 minutes. All the strategies in the second run were the same, no improving on them for the sense of balance. What I did learn on my second run, however, is how important speed is. The run you've watched had a positive speed nature. My second run had a negative speed nature, and I can safely say, never again. I don't want to reset for the best natures, but certainly not a speed lowering one in the future. And with that, Turtwig is on the board. I love the run so much I named the channel after it. Also, I'm going to note where we got to, and in my opinion, the hardest battle, Fantina, in addition to the speed and level. I think Fantina was worse than Cyrus or Cynthia. Maybe some of those could have been worse, but Fantina felt like we really had to grind for. Next time it won't be Chimchar, we're going to be doing them in number order, and that means Grottle. More on the rules regarding evolving Pokemon next time. Until then, thanks for watching, and you can guess how much quicker you think Grottle will be than Turtwig. Turtwig, man, you did well.